Which costs more? Having fewer babies, having a lot of babies, and by a lot, I mean 4, 5, 9, 10 babies, having no children at all? Today, I'm here to debunk the common misconception, in my opinion, that having fewer children is less expensive than having more. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Ina Cecilia with The Little Way, and I offer encouragement to women, especially Catholic wives and mothers. I am just a regular mom. I don't claim to be an expert, and I know not everyone is going to agree with me, but I think it's good for us to have these open conversations, these, dare I say, countercultural conversations that will inspire others. So I hope you'll stick around. If you enjoy this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. So first, I want to ask you to leave me a comment letting me know what your thoughts are. Do you believe that having more babies means it will automatically be more expensive? How many children do you have? I want to say that I understand there are women who are struggling with infertility. There are couples who want to have many children. They are very open to life. And so, as much as they would love to have many children, it's not an option for them, or they don't know what God's plan is. So it is not to take away from that. But I'm here to have a discussion that I think is my little way to advocate for life. I claim to be a strong pro-life Catholic, and this is one way, is to just share information, to share perspective. By the way, I'm just doing my basic homemaking. I'm making these Nutella banana muffins that I've made before, but this time with my new grain mill, it's new to me. I'm using some freshly milled grains, and you'll see that with the pizza that I make later. And then here I'm still using my convection oven, but you'll notice later on in the video, praise God, I was able to find an oven at a thrift store that had a bunch of surplus appliances for $65, and it's working perfectly. I am so thrilled. I also got an extra fridge and freezer since I'm going to be doing a lot of meal prep with this baby coming very soon. Okay, so back to our discussion, back to our conversation. And yes, you'll see I am spilling a bunch of flour here. It's because I don't know why I didn't think to take out the insert that is making it spill everywhere. But as I mentioned, I'm not a perfect mom. Nobody is except Our Lady. So here we go. Okay, back to our conversation. So I think it's important for us to at least open the minds and hearts of those who are used to the louder narrative. The narrative that says, if you have more and more and more babies, it's going to be more expensive. Now, there are some undeniable truths. Yes, food is going to cost more than if you have 3 in your family. Or if you have to upgrade your car because you can't fit as many family members in your tiny little 2-door car versus getting a van, which, by the way, a lot of families upgrade to a van immediately. And I don't mean to go on this tangent, but when we had 3 children, we still had my 12-year-old little sedan that was great on gas mileage, that had 200,000 miles, and we did just fine. We had to be more intentional about the car seats we selected, but it was a lot more economical to purchase slimmer car seats that were maybe $50 to $100 more than to just get a standard car seat and then have to upgrade our car for thousands upon thousands of dollars. So you'll want to outweigh those kinds of things. But anyway, yes, there's certain things that they are going to be more expensive, but I want to talk about the mindset shift that happens when you have more children, that if you really think about what you're saving in the long run, you may actually be saving a lot more money than if you told yourself, we can only afford 1 child. We can only afford 2. And I know not everyone's going to agree with this. Some people are going to think I'm crazy. Some people don't want to make these sacrifices. But if it's on your heart to have a big family, but you don't know how to make it work, sometimes just hearing this little bit of encouragement will be exactly what you need to be more open to life. Okay, so one of the first things I've noticed about having more children than fewer is I'm not overspending on myself. So there were times when I had no children, there were times when I had one or two, where I was just spending because I felt like it. And I was getting my nails done more often, and I was getting my hair done more often. And I'm not saying now I shop for cheaper items that just fall apart. I still try to focus on quality, but I'm not just spending the way I did, and it has forced me to be more mindful about my budget. So when you have lots of children, just out of necessity, you go into a fight or flight mode where it makes those decisions a lot easier. You're not just going to spend carelessly without thinking about it and then figure it out later. You're going to think a lot more, plan a lot more, write things down, have more conversations with your husband. And that has been such a blessing because we really have no choice. On that note, prioritizing. So I'm not just talking about prioritizing, like, are we going to, put certain foods, food over going to the movies or something. I'm talking about other ways that you need to prioritize because they're unavoidable, or, you still want that quality of life. So let's talk about birthdays. I've heard a lot of couples where when they only have one child, they want to make that first birthday, that fifth birthday, that 10th birthday count. They only have one child, so they want to make sure that child is in dance and softball and soccer and that she's in the best private school in town. When you have multiple children, you have to be very creative and prioritize. So you have to tell yourself, we are going to do the $5 frozen pizzas at our house, clean up the yard a little bit. We're going to invite close friends, have cupcakes, decorations from Dollar Tree. We're not going to get all the fancy decorations. We're not going to go rogue on Etsy. We're not going to hire the face painter. We are going to make sure that we pick very specific extracurricular activities. So not everyone is going to do a sport all year long, different sports, different activities. If my sons love baseball, we're doing baseball and that's it. If it is a value in our family to do piano, that's the one thing we're doing. If it's something everyone can participate in, like a family camp or something at our church, that's what we're doing. So it really forces us to prioritize things that if we, and I use quotes, only had one child, we might have a more emotional response to things because we feel like they're fleeting a lot more, and we're not really thinking, well, I have to make this stretch for multiple children. I already touched on this, but we don't eat out as much. In fact, we hardly eat out at all. I love to cook all of my meals, which is part of why I love making videos for this channel. It does not make sense and it does not taste as good when we all just go through the Taco Bell drive-thru or go through to McDonald's. We end up spending $50, $60, $70 if we are, even just like trying to be mindful of our budget, not even just getting whatever we want where everyone gets drinks, everyone gets a combo. It really adds up. So in turn, that has made us healthier because we are eating home-cooked meals all the time, and we're spending more time together as a family, which is so great. We're not just in a rush. We're not just going to get takeout all the time in the car and not really making the most out of family meals around the table, which I think really impact your family culture in such a positive way. So there's that. We are forced to rethink our values. So we have saved money by having more children because I'll give you a very practical example. When couples have lots of children, they start to wonder if their house is big enough. Do we have enough room? And let me be the first person to tell you that I live in a snowy area in the winter where it is challenging for us if our house feels small. and my children cannot just play outside whenever they want. But I think about other countries like where my parents came from, the Philippines, where they could be in a tiny hole and they are so happy because they have different priorities. They don't need every child to have their own bedroom that is perfectly decorated, has this perfect furniture from Pottery Barn. Speaking of which, I don't know if you noticed, I just dropped a pineapple on the floor because I am not perfect. You just make it work with what you have. So with our family, we cram a bunch of bunk beds into a bedroom, and we are going to treat it like we're in college and we are doing it hostel style, because the bedroom is what it is. It is a room with beds, and that is where we sleep. So we spend all of our time in the family room or going on hikes or playing outside and in the kitchen. We don't have everyone just going to their room and shutting the door and not interacting with each other. Now, I know my children are 11 and under, and so they can find common interests, but it's interesting. We think that once they hit puberty, they need their own room, they need their own space. But I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. I just want you to think why that is. Why do we enable teen boys saying it's, air quote, natural? And I think you know what I'm talking about. But I feel like a lot of parents have this mindset. Well, my son's going to do certain things. He's going to experiment. And it's like, I'm not going to create a space for my son to do that. I'm teaching him certain values of our Catholic faith, that is not something that is normal to observe and just embrace, and he can turn on a video and explore his sexuality. That's not how we're raising our children to be. So no, I'm not going to just create a bedroom for him so it's not weird for his sisters or for his other siblings. That's not part of our family culture. So I am not going to ensure my sons or my daughters have a bedroom by themselves just for that. In fact, I care more about their safety. I care more about their sleep, their wellness. So all that to say, again, I know I went on kind of a tangent, but I think that a lot of moms will be able to relate to that. Just because you have lots of children doesn't mean you need a bigger house. Now, extra space can be helpful, but you can be creative. You can go to the library. You can just change the narrative in your family, which is, we may not have a big house, but we have our faith, we love each other, and that's what matters. Because none of that, extra bedrooms are not going to matter in the end. When you are 80, you're not going to be so glad that you had 7 bedrooms for your 6 children. And the last thing, I think one of the things that have made us richer by having more children, and it actually has saved us money, is it has humbled us to be more open to help. So I have found that even though I love to do everything myself, I love to pay for everything myself, even just accepting freezer meals has saved us money, where other families in our church have wanted to be generous. By the way, speaking of meals, here you'll notice I've been making my whole grain pizza. I used half all-purpose, half freshly milled flour, and we did half barbecue chicken, half regular red sauce, and we have to have pineapple on all of our pizza. Leave me a comment if you like pineapple on your pizza. I know it's not for everyone, but I am curious. Anyway, back to what I was saying about accepting help. It's been good for us. It's been good for us to accept community and the generosity. I mean, our neighbor just the other day gave us her old double stroller. That has saved us hundreds of dollars versus, when you only have a few, I'm really weird about using words like only, but you spend money differently. When you have a lot of children, you're going to take hand-me-downs, you are going to take extra books, extra homeschool curriculum. If people have stuff in their pantry that they're trying to get rid of, you are a lot more receptive, and it does add up. Because you're not having to shop for all new all the time. You are so used to that hand-me-down and that frugal game and that whatever is free blesses us. So those are just some things that I have found really showed me that I think I'm saving more money by having more children, and I'm going to have as many children as God wants us to have. My husband and I are so open to life. We know that God did not create us to think, well, I don't have a big enough house, so I can't have more children. The church does give grace if you do have dire financial situations, but it also forces us to wonder, can we cancel Hulu? Do we have luxuries we could still cut out, all so that we can glorify Him by being fruitful and multiplying? I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, leave me comments, tell me what you think, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care and God bless.